If your fermentation keeps stopping halfway, if your alcohol level is lower than you expected, or worse, if your batch turns sour or grows mold, this video is for you. Today we are going to go through everything that makes a proper fermentation from start to finish. We will talk about the factors that can stop fermentation, reduce alcohol, or ruin your batch, and how you can avoid all of that, and finally get a clean, complete, successful fermentation at home. Stay with me until the end, because we have a lot to cover. Hello, my friends, and welcome to the Shon's Homemade Drinks channel. As you know, on this channel, I share step-by-step home recipes for making different drinks like brandy, cognac, wine, vodka, whiskey, and beer, all designed for beginners. Alongside the recipes, I also upload weekly videos about equipment, how to use it, how to do a proper distillation, how to recognize and prevent toxic alcohol, and many other related topics. So please like and subscribe to support the channel and to make sure you do not miss future videos. Those of you who follow this channel already know that I answer all comments and questions. Even if I do not know something, I research it and try to give you the most accurate answer possible. So if you have any questions, leave a comment. I read them all and I will respond. Today, we are talking about how to do a proper fermentation. The common problems, the small details that make a big difference, and how to control everything so that in the end, you get a high-quality product. Let us start with the main topic. Fermentation is the process where the sugar in your liquid is converted into alcohol. You repeat the same recipe several times. The ingredients seem the same. The conditions seem the same. But the results are different. One time, fermentation stops early. Another time, the alcohol level is lower than predicted. Sometimes the mash spoils. Sometimes it stays half-finished. You start guessing what went wrong. To understand this properly, we need to know which factors really affect fermentation and why two batches can behave differently. First, I will briefly name the main factors, then we will go through them one by one. Some of these may seem minor, but when several small mistakes happen at the same time, they can seriously damage your fermentation. The main factors are water quality, temperature and environment, timing, oxygen exposure, and the right fermentation vessel, proper sugar adjustment according to the yeast you are using, and finally the absence of harmful bacteria. Let us begin with water. Water makes up a large portion of your fermentation liquid. Whether you are making raisin brandy, beer, whiskey, or even fruit wines, where you dilute juice with water, water quality matters. Usually, we use either tap water or bottled mineral water. With mineral water, you mainly need to consider the pH, which I will explain shortly. With tap water, there are three important points. First is water hardness, meaning the amount of dissolved minerals. If the water is too hard, meaning it contains high levels of minerals like calcium deposits or lime, it can affect fermentation. It may slow the process. It may create unwanted flavors. In distilled drinks, those minerals are removed later during distillation. But in drinks like wine or beer where there is no distillation, those minerals can directly affect the final taste. Second is chlorine. Chlorine has an unpleasant smell and can negatively affect yeast performance. High chlorine levels can cause fermentation problems. In distilled drinks, the smell may disappear later, but in wine or beer, it will directly influence taste. So chlorine levels matter. If your tap water is very hard or heavily chlorinated, I recommend using bottled water and only adjusting the pH. Now let us talk about pH. Both mineral and tap water can have a relatively high pH, often between 7 and 9. This means the water is slightly alkaline. A high pH can slow fermentation and affect flavor. Different drinks require different pH ranges, and in my specific recipes, I mention the suitable pH for each one. Next is temperature. Temperature is one of the most important factors in fermentation, and we divide it into two stages. First is the temperature of the liquid when you add the yeast. Whether you are using commercial yeast or wild yeast from fruit, temperature is critical. If the liquid is too hot, it will immediately kill the yeast, and fermentation will not even start. The liquid should be between 20 and 30 degrees Celsius, which is between 68 and 86 degrees Fahrenheit, when you add the yeast. Second is the temperature during fermentation. The environment where your fermentation vessel sits should also stay between 20 and 30 degrees Celsius, again, between 68 and 86 degrees Fahrenheit. Higher or lower temperatures can slow the yeast or even stop it. For secondary fermentation, especially in wines, the temperature is usually lower because yeast activity is slower and sugar levels are reduced. Secondary fermentation is often done between 15 and 20 degrees Celsius, which is between 59 and 68 degrees Fahrenheit. Always monitor your fermentation temperature and avoid extreme heat or cold. Also, keep fermentation away from strong light. It is better to ferment in a dark place or use non-transparent containers. Now, let us talk about timing. Different drinks require different fermentation times. Raisin brandy, beer, wine, and sugar washes all have different schedules. You must give each one enough time for both primary and secondary fermentation. If you stop fermentation too early, a lot of sugar may remain unconverted and your alcohol level will be lower than expected. If you leave it too long, the yeast may begin to break down and produce unwanted compounds. Timing depends on the type of drink. Not all fermentations are the same. Next is oxygen and the right fermentation vessel. Fermentation is an anaerobic process, meaning it happens without oxygen. Your vessel must be properly sealed so air cannot freely enter. This is why we use an airlock. Even if you seal the lid tightly, there is still oxygen trapped inside at the beginning. During fermentation, carbon dioxide is produced. With an airlock, carbon dioxide escapes and helps push oxygen out, protecting your liquid. If you are fermenting something with pulp, like fruit wine or raisin mash, the solids float to the top and are exposed to air. This can cause mold. That is why sometimes we open the container briefly to push the pulp down and mix it. This must be done quickly to minimize oxygen exposure. The carbon dioxide produced during active fermentation helps protect the mash. Now about the size of the vessel. During primary fermentation, your container should not be completely full. About 1/3 of it should remain empty space, not more than that. If the empty space is too large, the carbon dioxide may not be enough to push all the oxygen out. And excess oxygen can weaken yeast and cause souring. Choose a vessel that matches your liquid volume, so that after filling, no more than 1/3 is empty. This space also allows foam and pulp to rise safely. However, this applies to primary fermentation. In secondary fermentation, especially for wine, we leave very little empty space, about 1 to 2 centimeters, which is about 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch. Now, we come to one of the most common and important problems: sugar level and yeast selection. Fermentation is the conversion of sugar into alcohol. Many people think that more sugar means more alcohol. Not exactly. Yeast has limits. Whether wild yeast or commercial yeast, each strain can only tolerate a certain alcohol percentage and a certain sugar concentration. If sugar is too low, you simply get less alcohol. But if sugar is too high, fermentation can stop halfway. For example, you may end up with a sweet wine that has low alcohol because the yeast could not finish the job. Different yeasts have different alcohol tolerances. Some wine yeast can produce 10 to 12% alcohol. That means your sugar level should be adjusted to reach up to 12%, not more. If you exceed that, the yeast cannot handle it, and fermentation will stop before reaching the expected level. I explained this fully in my hydrometer video, including how to calculate and adjust sugar levels. For example, many people making raisin brandy add natural raisins and then add extra sugar or honey. Fermentation stops halfway. Even if they dilute it with water, it still does not finish. That is because wild yeast on raisins may only tolerate up to about 8% alcohol. If you add extra sugar, you must not only dilute properly, but also use additional commercial yeast with a higher alcohol tolerance. This is one of the most common mistakes: incorrect sugar adjustment and wrong yeast choice. Also remember that sugar density and liquid thickness are not the same. Some fruit juices are very thick. If the liquid is too dense, yeast struggles to move and function properly. That is why in many wine recipes I add some water to fruit juice. Not to reduce cost, but to reduce thickness so yeast can work better. Finally, let us talk about bacteria. This is often ignored. Maybe you have not had a problem yet, but sometimes mold or stuck fermentation happens even when everything else seems correct. Sanitation is essential. All equipment should be disinfected. Your fermentation vessel, your tools, even your hands. This does not take much time and can prevent serious problems. These are the main factors that affect proper fermentation. Some may seem small, but when several small issues combine, they can cause major failure. I hope this video helps you in your next fermentation so you can avoid these problems and get better results. Do not forget that your like and subscription supports this channel and gives you access to regular new videos about home beverage making and related education. See you in next tutorial. Goodbye.